Welcome, Robin. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Let's see here. I'm Donna Miller. I forget to announce myself sometimes. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Purse Power, and you're joining Let's Share the Journey. Thanks for coming back today. And I was mentioning to Robin, I mean, it's a rough time. We need what she has to say today. This is a really important topic. So thank you. Robin is the Managing Director of North America of Wilbur. And we're in webinar format today, and we do that so that we can record this. So I'd like to have everybody introduce themselves on chat, please. Who are you and what do you do? Let's go ahead and get to know each other a little bit on chat. And then once a month, we do a networking meeting because I've got a key player coming on the 24th. Dr. Terry Neese is going to be talking to us about the women in Afghanistan. She'll be here on the 24th. So we're moving our networking meeting to October 1st. And we want to give you guys a chance to get to know each other. That's the point of those. So quickly, Purse Power is working to help women use their massive purchasing power to drive positive change. We believe that if women who make 80% of all purchasing decisions would choose to buy from the companies that actively promote women, and we would do that in mass, and we could create a funding stream for battered women's shelters in the process, we could shatter glass ceilings and change lives. So that's what Purse Power is all about. The purpose of the calls, we want to connect you with each other. We want to connect you with national leaders and people with some great insight like Robin here. And I want to quickly also shout out our special guests. So we've got several of our investors here: Jean Kelly, Jennifer Grigsby, Fawn Sachobin, Danita Thomas, Lynn Harden, and Lou Kerr. Thank you specifically for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, please do share your comments as we go through this via chat. And then we'll have questions a little later on. About midway through the broadcast, we'll open it up for questions. Okay, so quickly, I'll do your intro, Robin. All right, Robin is the Managing Director of Wilbur for North America, and she is also the former president and founder of Goose and Gander, which was a boutique consulting firm. She served as Oklahoma's first female executive director at the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission, and she was the chief executive officer and co-founder of WeGoLook. And you're going to hear more about that in a minute. Very innovative approach that she had a few years ago. She's highly successful, started, grew, and sold her business. And that's part of the reason why I asked her to be here as well. She serves on the advisory board, as far as I know, of the Institute's Board of Directors for Creative Oklahoma and the director for Bank First as well. Right? Okay, very good. Are you still with the Women Presidents Organization?
I still do some stuff with Annette. I'm not as active as I should be. It's one of those things where you have to, my time is just so limited. It's been fantastic, but I really work. I do other things like help speak with junior achievement and do some other things like that I'm really into, but okay. Not as much as I should.
Hey, you got a lot going on. All right. So to begin, we want to get to know you. Please give us kind of your backstory and how you arrived here at your life and career.
Yeah, so hi everyone. It's great to be here and share this morning with you. My background is quite diverse. I grew up here in Oklahoma in a small rural town, western Oklahoma, called Gracemont. It's out near Anadarko/Chickasha area. So very small farming community. Loved it. You know, my dogs were my best friends. My horses were my best friends. Eventually, I ended up graduating from Sulphur. I moved there when I was 16, graduated from Sulphur, which I thought was a really big city, big town at the time. And then I went out to Oregon to meet with my parents and live there and moved back. I became pregnant in college and had my son in college, and actually didn't graduate, even though I was at the top of my class and always, had a 4.25 grade point average.
Wow.
So I started doing some work for the Washington Post, and I transferred to Joplin, Missouri, and then to Columbus, Mississippi, and really loved my job there. It was in sales. I became a regional sales director, and then I became the system director in Mississippi. And that was a pretty exciting time for me because I was, moved. I learned a lot. Sales is something where you can, earn commission, so you're kind of working for yourself. And I also was able to learn a lot about different types of businesses. I had many different types of clients. Unfortunately, both of my sons' fathers have both passed away from vehicle accidents. Okay. And I realized about, 20 years ago that I really needed to have more time and flexibility. And the only way to do that was to create my own schedule and work for myself. So even though I loved my job at the Washington Post, I started doing I started doing some work here in Oklahoma City, and then I started my own consulting company. Then I started working a little bit in real estate and energy drink distributor and all kinds of things. I started kind of spreading my wings, if you will. Some were successful and some were not, but I learned very important lessons along the way. And my biggest success was with WeGoLook that you mentioned. I had been doing a lot of work. I had a portfolio of about 25 auto dealerships where I was helping them with their websites, CRM tools, marketing, all kinds of stuff. And that's how I kind of learned about the internet and, customer resource management, organic leads, things like that. And so WeGoLook back in 2009 was an idea, but I started it late that summer, and I came out of beta late December 2010. Spent about 10 years on that company, exited for about $36 million, and have been really staying close to that industry, the tech industry, since then. So it's been kind of one of those kind of journeys, if you will, and something I could never have planned, but I love it. And I have no idea what I'm going to be doing in 5 years, but I know I do have a 3-4 year plan. So.
Well, very good. I mean, you've got that resilience at your core. You really do. I mean, I know that you've been through a lot, and you mentioned your husbands and their loss, but I think you're an inspiring survivor, really. You've been through some of the toughest challenges of anyone I know, and you've overcome them. Can you talk through some of those challenges and how you did get through it?
Sure. So some of my challenges started when I was quite a bit younger. Growing up, I was adopted by my father. He was I would say that an old school class where there was a lot of, I would say, very physical discipline, and a lot of things like that. Asking me to walk behind the rest of the family. I couldn't smile in my photos growing up. Just weird things like that. So I would say my childhood, I had some really great times in there, moments in there, but for the most part, it was pretty daunting. Not a super happy childhood. I was able to kind of take control of that. So I'd say it kind of started at an early age, right? Learning that resilience, being able to depend on myself. I also took care of my little sister. So I learned how to take care of others at a very young age. I worked all the time. I had to pay for most of almost everything. And so I started working when I was 14, working on yards, cleaning houses. And then the day I turned 16, I'd already applied and had a job. So, working at Mazio. So I feel like I overcame, I didn't fall into that trap of how some people do in smaller towns that don't have this avenue, right? Because you can get stuck in a rut and live off the system. And I didn't want to do that. I read all the time. I read autobiographies. I wanted to explore the world. My grandfather was very instrumental, as was my grandmother, in my life. And anyway, so I would say that was a challenge I was able to overcome for the most part. I still have, some issues from that, but I feel like I worked really hard to become the mom that I am to my boys. And just all the struggles of trying to be a female leader over the years. And of course, even at Bank First, that I was very proud to be that, because, it's typically a male dominated industry as well. And it's a fantastic board. And I've learned a lot. I've been there for several years now. Was diagnosed with 2 different types of breast cancer last year, not just one, but 2 different kinds, and went through the double mastectomy, and I had a total of 4 surgeries last year. I've got 1 more this year, and went through chemo, and my hair's coming back, so
it looks great.
Thanks. But that was interesting, because with COVID and cancer and all of that, I remarried and was very happy. And then unfortunately, when I had my double mastectomy, and I'll just be transparent here, and lost my hair, he lost physical interest in me. Wow. And that never came back. And he chose to leave earlier this year and be with someone else. So that was kind of challenging for me, but I'm glad to have realized that now instead of later. And I had no idea that that's actually fairly common. It's actually about 50%, which is unbelievable to me. So at some point when I have time to sit down and refocus on what I want to do, I want to see if there's a way to go out and help other women that have been, it's hard. It's hard to go through a whole physical change and come out the other side, but I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. I'm getting healthy and stay very busy.
Wow.
And the kids.
Wow. That's a lot. It's a lot. What about you? What about your mindset enabled you to get through this stuff or continue to get through this stuff? Is there something that you do that really is?
I think my kids are like amazing. I'm very close to both of my boys. I think I learned a long time ago when I lost, especially my youngest father, I realized back then, a couple of things. You can't be the best parent unless you're whole here, right? Like you can't be the best anything, whether it's at work or you can't be the best sister. You can't unless you're okay here. And I worked really hard to make sure that I was as balanced as possible for that. And then I also realized something that changed my life. I mean, and I don't often share this, but whenever, because I may cry, but after Robert passed away, I had someone tell me, start enjoying, because I was very depressed. Start enjoying like the sunset twice, right? When you go to the Little League baseball game, enjoy it for two people. And I started, when your kid didn't get out of bed, like, and you didn't want to, like, get out of bed because he can't. And I know that sounds maybe a little morbid, but it started working. Like, it was incredible. I sat and I really focused on sunsets and sunrises and feeling gratitude for two people. And when people would complain about their day, I'd be like, you don't have anything to complain about, right?
Yeah.
I think that was my perspective for the last close to 20 years is I really don't have it bad. Even through cancer, I've never felt sorry for myself because I look at other people. My scans are clear and I'm good. It was a speed bump, right? And I was able to get through it. And there's so many people that I met in chemo and that were amazing that I know aren't there. And it was crazy because during COVID, you couldn't take anyone with you. So we all got to know each other. And I know several of them that haven't made it. They were already late stage. And so, I think it's just being grateful for what we have. Right? I am blessed. I don't feel sorry for myself. I've made some mistakes. I've also made some good decisions, and I try not to beat myself up over it. Sometimes that's hard, but heck, I mean, I'm good. My kids are good. So that's what gets me going.
That is a great point. That's what I use to get through things too, is I try to be grateful because you can't be depressed and grateful at the same time. I think.
Nope. That's why, I'm like grateful to share this time with you guys, right? I focus on it.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So how have these challenges shaped you as a person? And in particular, did any of these challenges prepare you for being an entrepreneur? Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's up and down, as you well know.
Yeah. I think just, again, being able to compartmentalize challenges and work through them and look at them from a very high level of, prioritization also, right? Is it really a fire drill, or is it something that we can work through? Other people may feel like it's a fire drill. I think all those challenges have helped me also learn about other people, right? I come from a poor family. I empathize and can relate. Like a couple of my favorite thing about WeGoLook, I was able to eventually hire, we had close to 150 people here at the office. And one of the ladies had been on Title IX for some time, and she came and gave me a big hug after about 3 years. She goes, I bought my first car. No one helped me. You know, I was able to get another guy a similar story. Like, I understood that. I always gave people a chance. If they wanted to work in a certain area, so I had a guy that was, he worked doing cleaning ranges in restaurants overnight, like in the kitchen. And he became my floor supervisor, and he's still there doing really well because he had the will and the want and then the opportunity, right? So I think all the challenges have helped me because I bring those into my work. I'm very close to my customers. I really look at solutions. I take it all to heart. And I think that's what's made me successful, is because I will do anything to kind of make that customer relationship work and be successful. And if you're helping your customer be successful, you will always have that client. And I don't know, I think all of it worked together, just the background of understanding different businesses and different types of people and being around them. Like that's how I think it's helped.
Yeah, you can relate to people. That's like my sister. My sister could talk to millionaires or plumbers. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very good. All right. So you really reached the pinnacle of success. You did what we all hope to do around your company with WeGoLook. Let's see here. So tell us the WeGoLook story, a little bit more about that. From the day you started, the day you had the idea, through the day you sold.
Sure. Now I had one of my friends he was looking at a high-end projector on eBay, and he thought the seller was misrepresenting it. And he just said, hey, I wish I had someone to go look at that for me. And this was back in 2009. So keep in mind, eBay was pretty hot. Amazon was not, right? It was publishing books. And so, but I knew that buying online, you could see the trend back then. It was going to become more and more popular. People would become more comfortable with it. And so I said, well, surely there's a company that's doing that. There's a service provider doing it, and couldn't find one. And I was like, wow, how cool would that be to be able to send someone out on demand, for eBay specifically, to go look at whatever, maybe Frankoma pottery, or I always like to say pinball machine, because I always wanted a pinball machine, and I have one now. So just the thought kept going on through my head. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I had learned enough with my experience with the car dealers that I knew how it all worked on the back end. And so eventually I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, well, heck. So I just started putting that together and started recruiting mobile notaries, process servers, people that were out in the field and already professional, right? And then I hired a guy out of OU engineering, a college student, and he started helping with the platform, and the rest is kind of history. We went through several different versions of the platform, had to learn a lot there, right? Had that pitfall of trying to understand technology and the translation between development and the business, which is a huge gap. That was one of my biggest learning early on. But yeah, so started there. I built it, just for people like you and I. I had to pivot during Superstorm Sandy back in 2012, and I was lucky. I had a client I was doing some work for, JP Chase, reached out to them and asked if they could go and complete these property inspections. And they called me and they said, can you? And I said, yeah, because I knew all of I called them lookers, the gig workers. And I knew I had one that was FEMA certified, and he went on his bicycle. Was able to this stuff. And we had all these reports. I had some friends come in. We were able to complete that whole portfolio in about 3 days. And JP Chase called me. I left my logo on there, and they said, we'd like to have our other vendors use you, Butler Burger, CBRE, and et cetera. And I was like, great. And that's kind of when the light bulb went off, and I realized I could pivot over into B2B. I had naively thought that these large companies had all these big solutions in place and were running like well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case. A lot of times, the larger they are, the more legacy systems they have, and they're just really archaic and still have a lot of manual processes, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's when I pivoted and started really focusing on auto inspections, property inspections, heavy equipment. So it was kind of like Uber, but for field services, for inspections. And I picked up some big contracts, worked with, Tesla and Ritchie Brothers. And of course, I ended up with the eBay contract. It took me 5 years to get it, but I ended up with it. You can go there today and look on the auto side, and you'll see order a WeGoLook inspection. And, that's exciting. It was great. And really worked in the insurance space, helping pioneer virtual desk estimating with some of the largest carriers in the United States. All that just took time and a lot of late nights, a lot of air miles, and but I also I wanted to mention this. I missed some important milestones with my kids. I had the discussion with both of them. They were very supportive, but like especially my youngest son, and I made a commitment to like only miss one like lacrosse game, right? A season. Like I was like, I can't be gone. It has to be a really major conference or a huge speaking event that would be, really beneficial to the company. And obviously the goal there is to the future of my kids, right? I said,
sure.
All of this really for them. I want to be able to leave them something at some point and provide them things so they don't have to live ever like I did. And so that's been the hardest thing, looking back. I would change things a little bit more early on for that.
Well, and I had a question about that, about being a single mom. You've been a single mom off and on. How do you survive that in entrepreneurship?
Well,
they're both big things.
So my youngest son, I just, would drag him along with me. He went to a lot of meetings. He's pretty business savvy. He never had a hard time with that. He loved it. He got to meet a lot of my clients. So I'd also take them with me. So if I had to go meet with the Mormon church in Salt Lake City, so turn it into a vacation, right? Take the kids, stay a few extra days on the weekend. So I always tried taking them anytime I could, whether it was one of them or both of them, depending on their schedule. So that was a big thing for me to be able to do that and give them that experience. But also I had a good network here of people that could stay, and I was comfortable with them if I needed to, and always, kept in touch with them. FaceTime was great because I could help with homework over FaceTime if I wasn't home. And I would always try to schedule, I would be the person at the airport coming in 11 o'clock, dragging in or leaving. I remember leaving one morning leaving the house at 3 o'clock in the morning to get to the early flight, and then getting home it was after midnight because I got in at 11, so that I wouldn't have to spend the night somewhere else, right? Like I tried to minimize my time as much as I could, just even if I would, just to be here. But you can't do it all. You can't do it all. And I haven't watched TV since June. Somebody was asking me about it, and I was like, I think it was June. That's when I watched TV.
Wow. You've done amazing things. Really. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was funding too, because a lot of women struggle with funding, and I know you managed to get some. So can you walk us through that?
Sure. So initially I had just some silent partners. I was able to convince just some friends and family that, to help invest. I had a total of about $300,000 that got me through a couple of years. And then I was able to go raise I had a Series A of a little over $3 million. I did have a seed round prior to that. But it was, so I always tell people, and then I raise money again for, I'm a partner in a low code, no code platform called Build Array. And I raised about $750,000 for them. So it was, but it's, and I'm about to start raising money again for another company. But you have to, I always tell people, I honestly don't know how some of these companies get funding if they don't have any business. But if you can prove there's a need, or even just that, you have business, right? I was able to pretty much, I was able to get the business, or I'm sorry, the funding at WeGoLook because I had several decent contracts already.
Right.
And I could have built slowly, and because I was able to manage the cash, but I wanted to build quickly and scale, and I needed a new platform for these large clients. These contracts, I landed one contract, and I knew it was going to take me months to build, but it was going to take them months to get everyone onboarded. And so when investors see that you have these signed contracts, they're a lot more apt to, invest in you. So, but you have to prove, even if you just have a small sample, right? You need to share that, and it needs to be displayed properly, it needs to be presented properly. How you manage everything, your financials, how you document everything, that's all really important. Those are things I had to learn along the way that I would tell people now. There's some great resources, of course, like I2E. I went there and I was able to be part of that program, and I learned a lot through that. In fact, that was my first real time to sit down and actually write out a business plan. You have to have a business plan to show investors. I was like, of course it's going to work. I know it's going to work. That doesn't work.
Doesn't work that way.
No one's going to invest in that. So you have to be able to go through a business plan, and a lot of times they want to see, okay, if you're given, say, $100,000, what will you do with that $100,000 to test the market even further? And you have to really sit through that process and put some time into it. It's a big project, but that helped me even see gaps on where I wasn't looking, right? So I highly recommend everyone, even if it's just an exercise for yourself, maybe you don't even need funding, or maybe you do, but I highly recommend a detailed business plan. I'm not talking about 3 or 4 slides. I'm talking like 40, 50 slides where you're really talking about everything from your concept to your team / experience, early financials, costs, projections, market size. You have to look at all those things, but I highly recommend that.
Very good. Very good. Yep. I agree. All right. So what do you wish you would have known from the beginning, looking back now? And how would you have prepared yourself?
The beginning of
the start of your entrepreneurial journey. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Well, and I've shared this before because it's so important. I would say having the confidence in yourself to just do it. I didn't have that in the beginning. I kind of sat on this ledge going, I have 2 kids. I need to keep this steady paycheck. Oh, I need to do this. It was a really big battle inside myself that I had to overcome. And instead of going, well, heck, Robin, you're good at this. You can always come back to this. This is how you make your money. Somebody will hire you. They'll hire you back, or the competitor will hire you if this other thing doesn't fail. Like I don't know why I was so worried about it. I was so worried about failing. And I think having that confidence to just say, okay, I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, I can go back to what I was doing. I know that may sound silly, but that was a hard thing for me to do, just to have that confidence to go ahead and move forward. And then, of course, having to learn about technology, having to learn about HR, having to learn about taxes. Again, I didn't graduate from college, so I had to have a strong, CFO. I had a guy that embezzled 6 figures from me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he spent 2 years in federal prison for it. But that was really hard. Really hard. to go through that. We had, those are all kind of learning things. So, if I had understood that better, or had said, okay, I'm going to just get this randomly audited every so often. Those are some things, I hate to say that it's hard to trust people. When you have a small team, it's wonderful because everybody, everybody's kids. As it gets larger and larger, it's harder to really, you can't say hi to 150 people every day. You can't know everybody's kids, their what basketball or football game did they have that week, and did they it's impossible. Mm-hmm. And it's harder to know what everyone is like, if everyone is on the same page you are culturally as well. So I did a great job of making sure that my core team was just amazing, and I just trusted them to manage other people. And I had to learn how to fire faster, right? Making sure that we gave them the tools and the training that they needed, and try to set someone up for success. Sometimes they're just not a good fit, and maybe they fit into a different role in your organization, or maybe they're toxic. Maybe they're toxic and they're really good at what they do, and you're scared to lose that person because they are so good, but then they're toxic to so many people in the company. Like, I learned how to just, say, screw it. I gotta do it now. I gotta do this. And that was hard to learn, but I learned. Yeah. But definitely, I think having that, just knowing in your gut that you understand your product. Another thing I like to say is I learned, I didn't have to be an industry expert to be an industry leader. I'm not in insurance. I've never worked in insurance, but I'm one of the top insurtech influencers around the world out of Oklahoma, which is crazy because I understand solutions, right? I understand how to use technology to make processes easier. And I've learned over several years of being so close to the problem, how different things can work. So I just want to encourage other people to just go for it, and not, and know you can always fall back on something. But I know everybody's read this, but I don't want to be that person that in 10 years goes, man, I wish I had done this or that, and I never did.
Yep.
I've not been that person, and I will never be that person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And apparently at the end of people's lives, they don't regret what they did do. They regretted what they didn't do. So good for you. Good for you. All right. We're already getting questions. I think I'm going to turn it over to questions because I think we're going to have a lot. All right. So can Robin provide any communication techniques to use when in male-dominated meetings to address or reduce mansplaining, and how to better convey the intended message? Guys, go ahead and add your questions to Q&A.
Sure. So that's a good question. I feel like I try not to, first of all, I'm very tall, so that helps. And depending on, I used to wear my suits and try to be a little bit more masculine. And then I'm like, screw it. We're female, right? We're female. You can be a strong female and look feminine. And you can talk and be yourself. I think that's what I do. I don't try to emulate. I try to be strong. I have a very strong handshake. That's something I would tell all women. I don't care if you're shaking hands with an elderly woman or, a young man. You need to have a very firm handshake. You need to be confident. You need to ask questions. Don't be afraid to speak up. Men aren't afraid in those meetings to speak up and laugh. I feel like just not trying to pretend there is some gender bias, but I just ignore it. I try to just be me, and you're there for a reason, right? And if just be you. That's why I think that's why I've just been successful with men, is because I'm just like, I don't try to be someone else. I'm just me at all the time, and just like I am right now.
Yeah. I hear it, and I'm 6 foot also, so we do have an advantage in height. And just as a coach, guys, I suggest you be big when you go to a meeting and you join a table. that you
Yeah.
spread out, you don't act small, right? And don't put yourself
Right.
in the position when you're behind. But anyway, go ahead. Any other comments there?
Yeah. No, don't be timid ever around men. And if you, it doesn't hurt, like, and I'm also a big basketball fan, and that's just me naturally loving basketball. So it's easy for me to talk about sports, and I have 2 boys. So I'm trying to put myself in somebody else's shoes that may not have that, because it's easy for me to talk to men. And again, I think with my background in auto, working around, that's a crazy industry. Those men are nuts. I think helped me a lot, kind of just get through the fluff. And I don't want to, the BS here.
Yeah.
So just like Donna said, go in, be powerful, be in charge, have your cup of coffee or have your water, whatever it is. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Be sure to introduce yourself to other people, talk to them, listen, ask them questions. They're just people too.
So. Right. Well, the other thing that women can do, by the way, guys, please add your questions, is we can support each other. So in a meeting, like, for example, apparently on President Obama's staff, he had 3 women that felt like they were getting talked over or weren't being listened to. They partnered. So what would happen is a woman would make a point, and the other women had pointed out and make sure that everybody knew it came from her. Does that make sense? We can double team people. I don't know if that's the right term, but we could go ahead and help each other.
I think that's something great, because there's a lot of times, especially if you're at the top of your company and if you're in a board meeting, if you're presenting, I always give kudos to the team. I've mentioned team several times with WeGoLook. I didn't do all this by myself. I know you say I've done amazing things. I've been fortunate enough to kind of be that coach that can put together a great team. And I could never do it without the men and women, both of who I am working with currently and in the past as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to say real quick, something else I would say, I try not to, there is still a barrier. I agree with that. But if you are working in a male dominated arena, something else I would say real quick is, men aren't afraid to ask for raises. Men aren't afraid to ask for things, and always document your progress. Document what you're bringing in. So if you are working on a project, just keep all that documented. If you're bringing in sales, make sure you understand like what your sales are compared to someone else's, like maybe what the margin is on that, what's the profit on that, so that when you have a discussion on raises, you can very just factual. I think men like to be very factual. We can sometimes be a little bit more emotional when we're talking. Don't ever say, well, I've got to have a raise because my daycare is like $1,500 a month. It's more of, here's what I've done for the company. Here's what I plan on doing for the company. And here's the raise I'm requesting, or whatever it is. But I would say definitely always be, when we are in the boardroom and we're talking in specifics and facts. I think that's important as well. I just wanted to mention that as we're thinking through this.
That's a great point. And then kind of one of the other things that happens is women won't go for something unless they're 90% sure they've got all the skills and capabilities. Men will go for it at 60%. I mean, we just need to have faith and take the leap.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay. Let's see here. So add your questions, guys, to the Q&A block. I'm just going to ask you one in the interim while we get their questions. So in reading the tea leaves, everything that's going on in the world right now, oh my God, and things are changing so fast and we're going through so much. What are your projections? What do you see coming down the road, and what opportunities do you think women have as a result?
Well, I definitely feel like we have a better work-life balance coming our way, just because COVID, with all of the work at home, I believe that will become, and by the way, millennials, which are the largest percentage of our workforce now, are kind of demanding a work at home lifestyle, like that flexibility, right? And I have this hybrid. I like to work 2 days a week from home and 3 from the office, just because we can have that better work-life balance as women. I do believe that technology has also helped us with, being able to be part of more boards. Everyone's understanding and seeing how we can, and you can promote yourself, ladies. I'm telling you, LinkedIn That's been fantastic for me. I've got over 30,000 followers, which
Wow.
well, that's not, I mean, I need more. But if you can, if you start publishing relevant content to your industry and think of yourself as a thought leader, and even if you don't think of yourself as a thought leader right now, this happened to me. I just started posting relevant content about the industry, things I felt that was interesting to me, and positioning it in a conversational way. And then that really morphed into becoming one of the InsurTech leaders. And it's amazing that in technology can really help. The world is rapidly evolving and changing. So I think that there's opportunity everywhere that we look for improvement. I'd love to hear more about what other people are doing. I can give real specifics if I knew what people were working on, but I think for us, the future's looking pretty bright because, yeah, COVID's been, I mean, obviously, if we take aside some of that, and of course, it's difficult to see what's happening in Afghanistan, but if we look at just what's happening as a result of, say, COVID and technology, right? The advancement of technology, we can have a better work-life balance, and we can be on a Zoom call on our way to a baseball game, right? Or to dance practice, or if you don't have kids, on your way yourself to go stay healthy. That's something I want to make sure everyone here is doing. I wish I had taken better care of myself. I always felt like there was something else I could get done. Instead of going to the gym, say at lunch, I'd be like, nope, I need to work on this, and that. And I've also learned, just real quickly, Donna, sorry.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is great, please.
With everything going on, the importance of deep breathing. So I know you've probably heard this, but throughout the day, nice, big, deep belly breaths, because our minds can be racing all the time. And it puts and if we're stressed out, if we're anxious, even if it's a good anxious, our body is in flight or fight mode, right? And you don't want it to be in that stressed mode all the time. And so if you take these deep belly breaths throughout the day, bless you, your body actually, are you trying to take one right now, Donna? Kidding.
No, I'm joking.
It takes your body out of that fight or flight mode, and your physical body knows, okay, I'm not in danger. And so all the chemicals and hormones in your body are more relaxed. So I just want to share that with everybody. I've learned that just over the last year and a half, how important that is to have those deep breathing moments throughout the day.
Very good. Very good. And I think part of the way to win this whole game is to control your mind and your own thoughts and your own stories that you're telling yourself, right? When things get rough.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see here. So more questions, guys. I wanted to ask you about board service. You're on a couple of boards. There's a lot of women that want to get on boards. Do you have any advice for them? Like what they need to do to get there, prepare themselves, get the visibility they need?
Yeah, what's interesting, I just ran, and this is pretty new, so I haven't really studied it, but I just ran across a company called Boardsy. I think it's Board and then SI. I don't know if you've heard of that. Put your, make sure to create a profile, and I'm going to play around with that this weekend, actually. So you have to make sure that you're in contact with people. So it depends on what kind of board you want to be on. If it's a nonprofit, make sure they understand that you're interested, what your skill sets are, have a resume for the board. But you have to also network, right? You can't sit at home and not be on LinkedIn or not be in the circles for them to know about you. So, if there's a specific board you're interested in or an industry, start reaching out to those people on LinkedIn, ask them questions, go meet them, send them letters, be aggressive. If there's something you feel like you can really contribute to a board and it's something you're passionate about, that will go a long way. And so I would definitely encourage everyone here to take matters into your own hands. That's one thing I will say I've never been shy about is I don't care if people say no to me. I literally, one of the speakers, he was one of the head guys from Tesla at a conference, and during his speech, he was like, I have to leave and catch a plane as soon as he just mentioned it. And so what did I do? As soon as he stepped off the stage, I knew he was going to end up coming through the lobby to where the cars were at some point to get picked up. So I went and I hung out near the entrance until I saw him like 15 minutes later. And that's when I attacked him.
Very good.
And gave him my card and talked to him. And that led to being able to get a meeting. Like I can be a complete stalker. So you guys don't be afraid to be aggressive. The worst thing they can do is think you're crazy or say no. And what does that matter? So if you want to be on a board, go for it. Put yourself out there, send information, create your profile, and start reaching out to other board members or, the CEO of that company.
Perfect. And now's a good time, guys. There are a lot of people looking for females to put on their boards. So there's a terrific time right now. All right. If I don't have any other questions right now, which surprises me, you're answering a lot of stuff and it's really good quality. Okay. I want you to tell me, what do you want people to have learned most from you today? What's most important that they learned?
Oh, wow. I think the most important thing, let's start with health, because that affects us in all aspects of our life, right? You can't have cancer and work at 100% and be the mom you want to be, or the wife or daughter or whatever, or you're yourself, right? You don't have to be put in any kind of role other than to be good to yourself. I think that would be one of my biggest things. Make sure you're putting nutritious things into your body. I'm looking at things a little differently this year than I ever have before. I used to be a stress eater. I'm still a stress eater, and I'm not perfect. Take care of yourself. Also, if you have a family and they're younger, don't forget that time will pass very quickly. And I would say, I see it all the time. I see guys that are willing to miss. I see men willing to miss a lot more than women. So maybe that's just a role that happens as still. But they're more willing to go to happy hour than to go home. I'm like, and sometimes you have to go to those things to network, but choose carefully. Make sure that the people you're around help aren't a time suck, right? You want the people around you to be quality people. If you're working on, like I said, if you're going to some networking event, make sure it's a real networking event and you get something out of it and follow up with them, versus if you're going to spend that time, just be more focused and more intentional, I would say, with your action.
Boy, I bet you what you've been through over the last year just gives you a ton of clarity about what's really important in life. It's way too easy to get wrapped around the axle about the shiny thing or the next promotion or the whatever else it is, rather than the really important stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
How about any actions you want us to take? Any other further actions? And the other thing that was occurring to me is, when women are going through rough times, which a lot of people are right now, what is the best way to provide support? So give us some recommendations on actions to take.
Yeah, so support. I'm lucky, and I saw Sherry was on here to have really great support groups, whether it's friends, family, organizations. Leadership Oklahoma, our class has been amazing. We big support group there. I know without a doubt I could reach out to any of them and ask for help, and they would give it to me. Donna, I've known you for several years. I know if I really needed something, I could reach out to you, and vice versa. So I do believe that it's important. It's hard to know what groups to be in, right? There are a lot of support groups. I also found, I know this sounds silly, but I found it's called Meetup, and it's just, I was like, I like to go hike. My goal is to go hiking. It's been on my bucket list for years. And then when I got cancer, I was like, why the heck haven't I gone? So, this coming summer, I'm going to go hike a trail in Spain and can't wait. But I started thinking, I need to meet other hikers in Oklahoma City. So you can meet hikers, people who like to play chess. You can meet all kinds of different people that have, and this isn't for relationships or anything. It's just for doing stuff with people that have the same interest as you. Mm-hmm. And so I highly recommend getting outside of your comfort zone and going and meeting new people that have those kind of interests that you can go, hang out with and do things that are good for your soul, right? I would say feeding your soul. That's important. You can run out. We can burn the candle on both ends, right, ladies? And I know Friday evenings, I'm exhausted from the week, but I learned a technique out in California at a conference a couple of years ago. And it was like how to kind of get your energy back. I know this is going to sound crazy, but it helps. So if you have a pet or whatever it is that you enjoy, just being able to spend a few moments with every day, and really, whether it's being outside and being grateful, Donna, like when you're outside and you're breathing in, y'all are gonna think I'm crazy, but this is true for me. When you're outside, if you're in the morning and you're walking or whatever, and you taking those deep breaths, and you just breathe in and think of abundance and sunshine and happy things. Mm-hmm. And breathe out stress and the bad things that have happened, anything negative, right? So you breathe in light and you breathe out the dark, and it helps increase your energy and your vibration. Spending time, I have 4 dogs. I love them all. They're, spending time with them and just enjoying that dog energy. I know that sounds silly, but just enjoying that feeling with them, all those little things, all kind of feed back into your energy bank, if you will. Those are just little simple things. Do things for yourself, right? Whether it could be a hot cup of tea that you enjoy at night that helps you refill your energy bank, but you can't let your batteries run down all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Robin, this has been one of the best conversations we've ever had. I mean, you just shared so much and so many really, really important things. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say? I would just kind of leave it open. Anything else that you want to share with the audience?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, thank you for that. That means a lot. I do always hope my goal always with these type of events or gatherings is that maybe I can help one person with just one thing, maybe one challenge they're going through, and that makes it worth it. Mm-hmm. I love helping other people. So if anyone there has anything they need or questions, I definitely, try to help with that. No, I would just say I feel like we can all overcome any kind of challenge that's given to us. We have to just, like you said, you have to have the mindset and the willingness. It's hard. It's hard. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There are really hard days. And I know before this, you were telling me how strong I am. And I really don't feel like I'm very strong. I feel like I just do what I need to do. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sit in a corner and feel sorry for myself ever. I want to get out there, and I know with basketball again, one of the best defenses is a good offense, right? You can control the game if you have an amazing offensive strategy instead of playing defense all the time. And I try to do that. I try to stay one step ahead, to where I am creating versus reacting. And another thing, Donna, I want to say something to you. Yeah. You told me this years ago, and I tell other people this. I told people this last week that were struggling. You told me, you said, hey, quit focusing on the $50 an hour work and do the $500 an hour work. And I was at that critical stage of WeGoLook where, I had a smaller team, and it's so scary to kind of let go of that control. Like, well, I can just do it faster. It'll be done. I can just do this. It'll be done more quickly. I won't have to take time to train somebody. Let me just do it. Or, gosh, they're not going to do it exactly the same way I would do it. Okay. Guess what? You have to get past that. And you have to get past that in all aspects, I think, of your life, right? You shouldn't be doing the small work all the time. You have to let others do it. So that was important to me. So I started delegating more, right? It's that whole, how do you multiply your efforts versus duplicate your efforts? Because you can't scale your efforts unless you are able to delegate it to a team of people. And so that was really important for me, Donna, back years ago. And it took me a while to do that. You have to practice that, by the way. You can't just say, oh, okay, I can do that. No, again, it's back to that. You have to be intentional with your actions, right? And I had to really focus on that. And now it's so easy for me. I'm just like, heck no, somebody else can do that.
Good for you. Good for you. God, yes, I remember being around you and how much you were doing. It was amazing. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it.
It was very helpful. It's very helpful.
Okay. Well, this has been tremendous. I mean, seriously, Robin, I'm deeply, deeply appreciative. And thank you so much for being here. I know a lot of people got a lot out of what you said today, and we'll see that in the comments. I just want to let people know what's coming up. We've got a lot of key speakers coming. It's going to be an amazing couple of months. Nadine Vogel is the CEO of Springboard Global Enterprises, and she places disabled individuals in 42 countries around the world. We've got Holly Hotchner. She is the CEO of the National Women's History Museum. So there is one, and we're going to have her come talk to us. Dr. Terry Neese is going to be here. She started the Institute for the Economic Empowerment of Women. They've been working with women in Afghanistan for 15 years, and I really want to hear. She's got people on the ground, what's going on and what we can do to help. And then I'm going to, drum roll please, on October 22nd, we're going to have Gretchen Carlson here.
Nice.
Yes. So amazing couple of months. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Please do go to our website. You can get a snapshot report that shows how you're performing in cyberspace. We do these every Friday at 10 a.m. Central. Please tell your friends, please join us. And again, on October 1st, that's our next networking meeting. I'm looking at doing a summit of some kind, and I'd like to bring in experts on a topic that's of interest to you. So if you wouldn't mind in the chat, please tell me what you most want to learn about. So one of the things I thought was Zoom meetings or electronic meetings, how to optimize LinkedIn, how to build your network. Like you've got 30,000 people following you on LinkedIn, and that's amazing. I mean, people would love to do that. We just got to 11,000 followers on Facebook. Yay, so I'm excited about that. But how do you do that? Finding clients, dealing with mental health, dealing with stress. Please put in the chat what you'd be interested in hearing more about. Okay, any final words of wisdom, Robin?
Well, only one, and very quickly, because I don't know if you can see my nutcrackers in the background. They're all Wizard of Oz. I'm a big Wizard of Oz collection fan, because back to our point of everything here, to summarize everything that we've said, is if you remember, Dorothy had it within herself all along. Like the Tin Man, Scarecrow, the Lion, they all had it within themselves all along. They just had to have, the professor tell them that they had it, right? So I want everyone here to just remember that you all have it within you all along, and you can do anything that you want to. So go get it.
Amazing. All right, I'm getting a question about how to get in touch with you. If people want to reach you, how should they do that?
LinkedIn is the best to link in. Or if you want to text me, I wouldn't try calling me. I'll put my cell phone in here.
All right,
you're welcome to text me first, and we can. Okay. All right. But LinkedIn is great.
Okay. Thanks you again, Donna. Robin. Thank you. All right, everybody, have a great week, and we'll see you next Friday at 10 a.m. Central. Right. Remember, purse power, we have it. Let's use it. Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Bye.